you're listening to a Token Nerd Network podcast. 3, 2, 1. Where we ramble on about geeky things. Things ranging from Batman to pop figures to Star Wars.
From Token Nerd Podcast.
Stay spicy, my friends. Hey everybody, welcome to Token Nerd Podcast, where we ramble on about geeky things ranging from Batman to pop figures to Star Wars. I'm Anthony Pettiford.
And I'm Addison Lee.
Alright, well, we are here, I was getting ready to stutter step, here for episode 49. We've been gone for a while. I think the last video we posted was our not even a Power Rangers review. I believe it was the Power Rangers checklist. But either way, that was like a month and a half, 2 months ago. Anyway, we're here to do a movie review. A little film kind of just dropped last weekend, and that was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So what we're going to do in this podcast is we're going to sit down, we're going to talk about give an overview of the movie, give our pros, our cons, and then give you a rating based on 1 through 10. I think that usually works. So just to get started, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is the sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is the sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy 1. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 came out last week, which was May 5th. And how much money has it made up to point, Ad?
Let's see, domestically it made roughly around $199 million.
All right, and how much did it cost to make? I don't know if we can find that.
Roughly $200 million. So it's about to make back its budget.
Okay. Really? I always assume that the superhero movies make their budget back in the first weekend, but it's not open in most countries, has it?
I'm not 100% sure.
Because what we're looking at domestic.
This is just domestic.
Okay.
Yeah. Worldwide, it's made a little bit over $500 million.
Okay.
So it made its money back.
Okay.
But most Marvel movies do
better overseas.
No, they usually cost just roughly around $200 million.
Okay. All right. Well, this movie was directed by James Gunn, who also directed the first one. But the difference is this one is actually written by James Gunn as well, which you can really get the feel for that. So those of you who've seen Slither,
he wrote the first one too.
He co-wrote the first one.
Yeah.
Can you pull up real quick? Leave that tab open. So look up Guardians of the Galaxy 1, just so I know who to credit on writing the original. There we go. It was co-written by James Gunn and
Nicole Perlman.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, it was. She's written.
Oh, she's writing
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, yeah.
The screenplay for Captain Marvel. She did an early screenplay for Iron Fist.
Oh God, she's doing Detective Pikachu.
Oh my, yeah, she's doing the screenplay for Detective Pikachu. Labyrinth. Mask. Mobile Armored Strike Command.
Who did? Oh, I never.
Sherlock Holmes 3. She's got quite a few screenplays underneath her belt. So anyway, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. We'll do our overview real quick. So this is the sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy 1. This takes place. There's no set time that this took place after. Like, in the other movies were like, oh, this was a year after the event in New York, or there's no time anchor. But we see the Guardians opening up with I guess they are on the planet of the Sovereigns. And what happens is, I guess, this giant obelisk monster comes down, or a multi-dimensional monster comes down, and it feeds on their generators. So the Guardians were hired, because now they are known for being Guardians of the Galaxy. They have been hired to destroy or stop the obelisk from absorbing their batteries and attacking them. So,
are you saying obelisk? Are you trying to say like octopus?
Obelisk.
Like the tower?
An obelisk. No, stop. That's what it's called. I know you're trying to screw me over.
I'm not trying to screw you over.
You're trying to mess me up. I know you are.
No.
But no, it's literally called. Here, let me pull it up. Now you're getting on my nerves. there's a lot that happened before this audio began. It says on the Sovereign planet. Let's see. On the Sovereign planet, the Sovereign was often attacked by the Obelisk, who was a multidimensional being who is devouring the batteries, the powerful, expensive source of power for the planet. The Sovereigns hire the Galaxy to fight the Obelisk. It's spelled with an A. Ablisk. Obelisk. We really embarrassed if I spelled if I'm reading it wrong.
It's an O, not an A.
It's spelled with an A right here. I'm looking right at it. And if I click on it based on the Marvel Cinematic Universe wiki page, it's spelled with an A. A diviner. Oh, it's saying I have no connection.
Anyway,
yeah, we more waste on it. So this is the clip that we saw in the original concept art, the big, like you said, octopus-looking thing. It's also the monster that we see in the first trailer that the Guardians are fighting during that big music montage. So there's a lot of humor. It starts out with a little bit of a musical. We have Baby Groot dancing, and that's kind of what people have been waiting for, is to see a lot of Baby Groot, because once he made that little debut at the end of Guardians 1 where he's dancing and Drax looks back and he stops dancing all of a sudden. So we see that. We also get to see different characters after the point of Guardians 1. So we have the Guardians find the obelisk and they obviously kill it. And you see, there's a lot of Drax being the way he was, except now it's like whatever you liked about the original Guardians movie, they've now said, you like it, here it is times 10, and they kind of like throw it at you. It doesn't look like there's a relationship between Star-Lord and Gamora. There is, but you thought at the end of the first one they would have gone forward with something, and they didn't. Rocket and Baby Groot, and Drax being Drax, it's all fun. But anyway, so they take down this obelisk, and the Sovereigns, which are the gold people that we see, they are known for being stuck up and very
self-absorbed.
Yeah, and so, or perfect. So they've been almost like Krypton. They've been genetically engineering their people to all be of this high standard. And so, come to find out that Rocket Raccoon stole some of their batteries that they were there to protect. When they were protecting, their reward was Nebula, who is Gamora's half sister. So they get her and they say they're going to turn her in for her bounty to the Novas, which is one of the few references we have to the Novas in this movie, because we don't see them at all. So they take Nebula on, and then they're leaving, and they find out, or the Sovereigns realize that their batteries were stolen, and they go after the Guardians, and they send this fleet of mini ships. And the thing about these ships, they reminded me a lot of the Nova ships in the first movie and of the ships used in Star Trek Beyond. Mm-hmm. So little like those like Rider ships they had, and act like a swarm. And so they say, okay, well, take them down. And the Guardians start fighting them in this huge epic space fight. And you're like, wow, they're killing a lot of people. But then we come to find out that they're all automatic. And it's this hilarious look of these golden people playing like almost like arcade games. And so they can see this like 16-bit screen or 32-bit screen of space as they're fighting. That was pretty funny. And then Guardians are getting ready to be overwhelmed, and they're saved by a man in a white ship. Come to find out that is Ego. And Ego, we'll come to find out, is the father of Peter Quill.
Played by Kurt Russell.
Played by Kurt Russell. And we should also mention there is a little, like a prologue, or not prologue,
prologue.
Thank you. A prologue shot of Ego, Ego, who is played by
Kurt Russell.
There you go. And he is meeting, it's when he met Peter Quill's mother. So, we go on the story, and the Guardians ship crashes on this planet. They meet Ego. Ego says, hey, I'm your father. He briefly gives him this little backstory that he's been looking for him all this time, and Yondu was supposed to bring Peter to Ego at a young age, and he never did, and he's been looking for him ever since. And after the events with the Novas and Ronin from the first movie, that he finally was able to track him down. And so they leave Rocket and Baby Groot and Nebula on the planet to fix the ship, while Drax, Gamora, and Star Lord go with Peter Quill and Ego and Mantis, this new character that he has with her. And so we get a really cool shot of the Ego planet. And see, I don't want to go bit by bit. Ultimately, Ego is a celestial. No, that's not right. The word. Celestial.
Celestial.
Thank you. And almost that's the closest thing to gods in this universe. And so he was born in the beginning, and then over millions of years he slowly developed the ability to like build on himself, and he became a planet, and from that planet he could create, a human avatar basically to go around, and he wanted to find other life because he was alone, he didn't like being alone, he had no purpose. So, and for those of you who read the comics, Ego the Living Planet is a giant planet, purple planet with a face and a beard. And so we're see, I forget we have no camera because we're looking at it on the screen right now. So this giant planet with glowing eyes and a beard, and it's Ego the Living Planet. And so he's talking to Peter, saying, "Hey, yeah, I'm your father. Blah blah blah. I had I fell in love with your mother, and then I couldn't love her anymore because if I stayed on Earth with her, I would never have left. And I needed purpose. I had a mission and goal, and I couldn't stop." And so they go off, and um, sorry, I'm trying to recall the whole movie at once. So while Peter and them are on Ego, learning about his past, Rocket Raccoon is being attacked by the Ravagers, who we had another cutscene to them on a brothel planet for a kids movie. Yeah, because
Yeah, it was like a robot
a
brothel.
robot brothel. I wouldn't say planet, but they were on a planet where there was a robot brothel in this like winter area, and so the Ravagers are having their good old time, and they run into Sylvester Stallone.
Yep.
Yeah, so Stallone is in this, and he plays. Can you pull up the name of Sylvester Stallone's character? Because I mean, it's a spoiler-filled review. So we come to find out that the original Guardians of the Galaxy, um, like the original comic, Sylvester Stallone is playing one of those characters, and you see him and I see we're searching for the right name. Nope. So we just find out that the Ravager group that Yondu is a part of is Ogard, uh, Stakar.
Stakar Ogard.
Yeah, so we see him, and he's within the group, and so they're like, "Yeah, we were the original Ravengers. We were captains. We saved you from a Ronin, not Ronin, but from a
He was
Kree
Starhawk.
Starhawk. Thank you. But you found that the original Ravagers are the ones who saved Yondu, who was on a slave. He was a slave on a like
He said he
slave
was
planet.
forced to fight, which makes me think he was in that Colosseum that we see in Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, that'd be really cool. Nice little tie-in. But no, so we have him, and he says, "Yeah, but you broke our code, and one of the codes for the Ravagers is there's no child trafficking."
Yeah.
And so we assumed that yeah, Ego wanted Star Lord as a child, and they were going to transport him. So he broke their one code by transferring, or attempting to transfer Star Lord.
No,
And so, we assume, oh, that was just it. That was the one problem. And during their escape, because the other Ravagers are like, oh yeah, well you've been too soft on Peter Quill. We need to go after him, and we're not the bloodthirsty Ravagers we used to be. We're soft and we're weak, and you're the weak leader that's making us like this. Because Yondu is part of a splintered group of Ravagers, so they're not even acknowledged by the main group of Ravagers. They just keep the same name. And so we come to find out that Yondu had it wasn't just Peter. He has been bringing Ego not thousands, but probably hundreds of different children that he's had with different alien species, trying to reproduce himself. And so overall, that's the big gist is that Ego is he's a super godlike planet, and he wants to spread his seed across the universe. Not trying to be funny. There's literally a seed plant thing that he puts on different planets, and in the flashback, you see him where he had left one on Earth. And what it does is it'll expand over a planet and take it over so that he has awareness and consciousness over that planet as well as his own. So he becomes not just a god of his own planet, but a god of the universe. And so the Guardians team up with Yondu, and Nebula also team up, and they go on and they fight Ego and they take him down. That's the gist of it, because I realized that I was going play by play by play, and no one wants to listen to play by play. Because some people want to hear Addison talk eventually. So let's just jump over to pros. So overview, big battle scene. If you'd seen the original Guardians of the Galaxy and you liked it, this is the second one is 10 times the first one, in your face. It never really stops. Addison, what are your pros of this movie? Or at least give me 4 or 5 pros.
Well, like you pointed out at the beginning, that whatever you liked about the first one, you definitely got in this one. If you like Baby Groot, you got more Baby Groot. If you got more very literal Drax, that's what you got from him. And Star-Lord being quippy, and some of the aliens or some of the Guardians not understanding Peter Quill's the way he speaks, because he still lived on Earth, and sometimes they don't understand what he's saying. Like when he called Rocket a trash panda,
That was funny.
I was
Right?
like, "Is that good?" And he's like, "Oh
No,
yeah, that's
it's
good." Oh no, that's actually the worst possible name or whatever. So yeah, the comedy was there. I was never really impressed with the trailers, because the trailers to me just looked like the exact just looked like the same thing from the first one.
mm,
But yeah, the comedy was there, the action was there, the heartfelt moments. Sometimes even though they kind of felt like they were out of nowhere, like there was this the one scene between Rocket Raccoon and Yondo.
yeah, Yondu.
Yeah, that heartfelt scene kind of came out of nowhere, but it was touching enough that you didn't care, but you kind of just like, oh, okay, we're doing that. That's cool. Um, some other good things. Da, da, da. I guess all the characters kind of had their own moments.
Yeah, so there's a
Some more than
focus on all the
others.
characters.
Yeah, even though when you actually really think about it, Drax didn't have too many action moments. Like as soon as you get past the obelisk scene, you're kind of just like, he's kind of just there, mostly with
But he was
Mantis.
there to play off of Mantis,
Right. I'm
who
just
was
saying.
also
I'm just saying.
socially
I'm just
okay.
saying action wise. After the obelisk scene, he kind of just steps back for a while. Um, but yeah, I think that's where the special effects were also, even though there were some scenes that felt really CGI, and most of that was on Ego's planet, but I feel at the same time it was supposed to look like that, because Ego's planet was supposed to look like a fantasy world.
Hmm.
So the fact that it looked really CGI and fake, I think, was on purpose. So
Well, I also just on that point, I feel like people are who say, "Oh, I see the CG," is because we live in a world where effects have gotten so good that when you see something that's not real, that's not possible, our brains are telling us, "Oh, it's not real." And
and
I always had an issue with people
and
saying
and I
that.
don't even mean it like that. I just mean when you see Star Lord and Gamora standing on Ego's planet, and you look at the background of Ego's planet, it looks like they're standing on a green screen. Not just because there have been some, like the Avengers, right? When they're in fighting in New York, most of that is green screen, but it looks like real New York.
I feel like I said before, that's real. Like it's a real image that you could see. So so your brain is telling you it's possible. You're not looking for the zipper,
Right,
for
and
example.
I'm saying that's why it's supposed to look even more like CGI, because
Okay.
it's a projection of what Ego is making. So that's what I'm saying.
All right.
Um, and yeah, I think that's about a lot of good
Pros.
pros.
For me, when it comes down to pros, because I love this movie, I would say that the fact that there was an expansion on all the characters, and that went to like especially Yondu. Like I said in the beginning or during my long overview, is that Yondu was kind of a one note character in the beginning, and in this one, and this whole movie in general played on the relationship between a son and his father, and you got to see Yondu's relationship with Peter, or how he felt towards Peter, and what he felt like he owed to make justification for his life and his life choices. So there's a big expansion on that, and huge growth from the first movie. And the same thing you saw with Drax, the growth between that Drax had when he originally was alone to being comfortable with everyone else. Rocket's growth was mainly in this movie. We see how he's stealing things and he's self-sabotaging because things are really good, and so to counteract that, he has to mess things up, and that's just something in his nature. That's why he and Yondu bond a little bit. Gamora, the whole Gamora Nebula relationship was a growth. I would say the only character that I feel like didn't change or grow was Peter Quill.
Yeah.
That and Baby Groot. Baby Groot was there for just relief, but Baby Groot's my pros because he was adorable. And I know I read some reviews where people said that was too much or they could have gone without it. Shut up. No, seriously, shut up because you don't know what you want. Because Baby Groot was adorable. Every scene he was in was perfect, and even the post credit scene was great. With Baby Groot or adolescent Groot. I would then say another positive was the movie was just funny. And it was nonstop funny. Yes, that is gonna fall into my cons eventually, but there was a laugh at least every 5 minutes. There was something that made me smile or something I enjoyed. And I think lastly, it was, um, I'm trying to think of, I had an original list of all these great things. The music. I think the music worked really well in the movie. Very much like how King Kong, I know you didn't see it, but King Kong had a bit of a playlist that went with it at certain parts when they're listening to the radio, and it worked well with what was going on. So I enjoyed that. Plus, there was a lot of violence in this movie.
Yeah.
A whole lot of violence. But yeah, so overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Those were my pros. So when it comes to cons, what do you not like about this movie?
Uh, well, let's see. I'm gonna kind of contradict myself a little bit, mostly just because I felt a little too stretched thin with all the characters that we were introduced to. Like, even though a lot of characters got their moments, I felt like there were just too many storylines. Even though a lot of them were connected. Like, they kind of there was a big deal about Sylvester Stallone being in Guardians. We got two scenes with him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I felt like the heartfelt moments between like Yondo and Rocket Raccoon. I felt like they didn't start out organically, in my opinion. They were kind of like in a scene, and then it just went like, oh boom, okay, we're gonna throw this heartfelt speech
Uh
about
huh.
how we're the same. And even though the scene worked, I just felt like the lead up to it kind of just came out of nowhere. Um, uh, like I and also kind of one of my positives, like it really did go down to, hey, what did you like in the first one? Oh yeah, we're just gonna kind of keep doing that again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm afraid that with someone as creative as James Gunn, I'm afraid that the third one once again is going to kind of fall down into the same. Okay, what do they like from this one? Okay, we're gonna do this again. We're gonna do this again, and we're gonna do that again. Just because that we have to stay on brand, and that's cool and all. And I really did enjoy this movie, but I felt like a lot of the beats were just kind of the same as
Mm-hmm.
the first one. And again, that could be taken either way. Like, oh yeah, that's what we liked about the first one. We want to see that in the second one. And then sometimes I can understand why some people are saying I'm not a big fan because there's no real change in the story. Kind of like you said, like Peter Quill didn't really have he didn't really his there's no character development for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not and a lot of other characters didn't really have too much character development either. Like, yeah, Rocket kind of acknowledged why he's the way he is. Is he going to stop doing what he does? That's
Yeah,
we
most
don't
likely.
know.
Well,
We don't
most
know.
likely he's gonna stop being a jerk all the time. What do they call him, the president of jerk, or professional jerk.
Professional jerk. But at the same time, then that he's not gonna be the Rocket Raccoon that we all fell in love with. We love the fact that he is kind of a trash panda.
Well, that's fun. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And if he's not that, and he's just gonna be a goody goody two shoe Rocket Raccoon, then he's not gonna be Rocket Raccoon.
Mm.
So that's my only fear. And also, they talked about how they're expanding the Guardians. Like, oh, we're getting 3 new members. By the end, we get 1.
Yeah, because we thought we were getting Yondu, and spoiler alert, Yondu dies.
Which
He
did not have to die. It made sense for the story, but he really didn't have to die.
I thought for Marvel Universe, when their deaths all feel shallow, I feel like the death of Quicksilver was shallow. When Phil Coulson died, that was heavy, but then we ultimately, rewound that. And so death in the Marvel Universe feels fake, feels unrealistic, whereas this felt realistic. He was gone. And the way he died was, I may or may not have started sweating through my eyes a lot at that point in the movie. So any other cons that you had?
There were a few times where when you listen to Ego kind of talk about his inner turmoil and why he does what he does, I couldn't help but think like, wow, hashtag God problems. Kind of, him being alone and wanting the world to be in his image. And I mean, I get it as a celestial. You don't have the same mindset of a human. So yeah, I like when you watch Iron Fist, you're just like, wow, rich people problems. I kind of got that feeling of, okay, this is God problems, I guess. So some of his motives were a little like a little shaky for me. Even though he was a very compelling villain, his motives were just really kind of shallow in the idea of like a god.
Well, okay, we'll use that to transition to my cons. It's a little bit more of a like. I liked him as a villain. I feel like Marvel Studios suffers from turning their villains into, tortured souls, and you could see that through this. But he was a jerk at the end. It was like you said, the God problem, but I liked it. I thought that was a strong motive for the character that he was. Like, there was no other way to bring a god to be a villain, and I thought they did a good job doing that. But my cons go to what I said in the beginning, was the humor. I love the humor of this, but sometimes I feel like the gags went too long. For example, the baby Groot, when he was looking for Yondu's Finn, and it was like that lasted, maybe 2 or 3, maybe 1 gag too long. Like, they ended up saying, "Oh, what about this? Or what about this?" And it was like, that's a desk. And while that's funny, it just went on too long, and we could have gone without that.
Yeah, the movie is 2 hours and 17 minutes. It could have just been 2 hours. You really could have cut down. You could have shaved a lot of fat off this movie. And unfortunately, a lot of it was Baby Groot because, like you said, everyone wanted more Baby Groot. And what you end up getting is you got a very long, kind of drawn out opening scene with Baby Groot dancing around this, fight. And honestly, I wanted to watch the fight. Like, as much as like
I love how the fight went. I liked seeing
seeing it from the background, and that was that was fun and all. But it was just like, okay, I'm kind of like, let's just move on.
Yeah, so I liked that. Well, I didn't like that it went on. Right now, I'm thinking of all the other cons or pros that I liked, like the funeral and stuff like that. So con wise, I think that's it. I loved this movie. I liked it more than the first one, and I liked the first one too. So, I think that puts us to about the 30-minute mark, somewhere about that. So, just, out of 10, what would you give Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2?
I would give Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I would give it a 7.5. And a lot of it is mostly just because a lot of it was just the same beats as the first one, because that's what everyone loved. And again, it's not a bad thing, but just for me, just because Marvel has been doing, even though like it's been having issues, but it's getting better with their sequels. Like if you look at Captain America, the First Avenger, and Winter Soldier, those 2 movies are vastly different. And that works, and it worked, and that's why I'm excited about
Thor. I would make the argument that I feel like all those movies are the same. I mean, I loved them. I have no problem with it being the same, but I feel like, so what are people asking for? A completely separate movie? I feel like
No,
it
no, no.
falls into the unit or to the world that this is made by the first one.
But it's starting it gets that fear of, okay, so we saw the same beats from the first one. We saw the same they kind of took the same beats from the first one and made the second one. What are they going to do with the third one now? Is it going to be, are we going to get twice as much Drax and
It'll be three
Mantis?
times as much.
Yeah,
But no, no,
yeah,
no.
you're gonna get more Drax and Mantis doing whatever it is they
Yeah,
do.
because that's in their character. It's like people getting annoyed that Captain America is a Boy Scout. That was, I mean, he did that, and it was in the original first Avenger movie,
Yes.
and then it was in Winter Soldier. And
No, he wasn't a Boy Scout.
You saw a darker side, but it was still. I mean, there was growth to his character, but I feel like it was still in the same cues as the first
It
one.
wasn't the same cues.
Yeah,
I'm just-
but
it's
no,
just-
I
it's
just- I feel
different.
like
and
it
I'm
works.
and that's why I gave Guardians just not as. I mean, 7.5 isn't that low.
I'm not
of
saying it's a
score.
bad score. I'm just saying, like, when I hear people say the same beat, I don't see that being the issue with this movie.
It's not that it's this it's the issue with the movie. It's just the fact that we're seeing this pattern, and I'm afraid that someone as creative as James Gunn is going to now kind of be, handcuffed to just the same beats. And that's what I'm
See,
saying.
I can see that. I agree with that point. I don't want James Gunn to fall into a pattern. I just did not feel like this when I hear the argument this movie is the same as the first one. That's where I disagree. But the way you put it out there, I do agree with what you said, with it being a thing on James Gunn. So yeah, I agree. When it comes down to me, I'm gonna give this movie I think I'm gonna give it a 9. I really like this movie. Not a 10, not a 9.5, but a solid 9. I had fun. The gag went on too long, so there were things I didn't like about it, but those things weren't enough that I was like, I have to stop this movie or I need to get out of this movie. I was in it. I loved all the little like Easter eggs. So apparently, do you know that Miley Cyrus is in this?
Nope.
Yeah, there are so many little what's it called? Not Easter eggs, but what's the word I'm looking for?
Cameos.
Cameos. Thank you. While I'm talking, can you look up cameos? Guardians of the Galaxy 2 cameos. Because I was looking online, and someone said, "Oh yeah, Miley Cyrus is in it. She plays I think a computer voice. So there's a voice on a computer that she was. So little stuff like that, and I feel like that's fun. Yep. So Miley Cyrus. Obviously there was the Stan Lee when he was sitting with the Watchers, and everyone loved, especially you.
Yeah, because
I flipped out.
I never thought we would ever see the Watchers in the Guardian in these movies in general.
Okay, so we clicked on Miley Cyrus. Go back, because there was one that showed all of them. I don't want to just talk about Miley Cyrus.
Well, it was a video. It didn't have a list or anything.
That was a slideshow. See, let's go to the side. So there was the Stan Lee, and the Watcher. Howard the Duck shows up again, because he showed up in the original one.
Didn't care.
Yeah, I'm not a Howard the Duck, so nothing about that interests me.
Like I said, yeah.
Yeah, Cosmo showed up because Cosmo was with the original Guardians.
And Cosmo, he was in the what's it called, the end credit scene.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see any reference to the Collector or the Grandmaster?
In the credits, we also off screen look at who is one. I did not see it. They say Jeff Goldblum. We're looking at IGN, and they had a list of them. Keep going. I did not see
Hasselhoff, yes.
James Hasselhoff. Yes, that was a thing.
Saw a little bit of Ego as the planet.
And you actually get to see Ego as a planet.
Kind of.
Cosmic being. Okay, cosmic beings. Yeah, that was something. Sylvester
Stallone.
Thank you. Sakaar. Yondu's Big Fin. That's not really. Whoa.
That was in the first Guardians.
It was?
Yeah, when the Collector is telling the stories of the Infinity Stones, we see those.
Okay, sorry. So for those of you who obviously aren't looking at what we're looking at, we're looking at the image I've never seen before of one of the giant celestial robot beings that are known for the Marvel comic books. I'll be honest, I don't read Marvel comics that much or Guardians of the Galaxy for
Yeah.
that. So a lot of these characters I only know through like images and like the big events that they pop up in. Let's see anything else that was cool. Oh, Adam Warlock. There
Yeah.
was because remember this movie had 5 cutscenes or 5 post-credit scenes,
Yeah.
and one of which was the Sovereign Leader, and she created Adam Warlock. So
And I shall call him Adam. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's the dumbest line I've ever heard.
Boo. All right, I think that's. Oh, I thought there were a lot more cameos than that.
Nope.
But yeah, so oh, didn't Nathan Fillion?
It was
the last one.
No, it was all it was a ruse.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, they said all the scenes of him being like Wonder Man or the actor Wonder Man where he like the actor I can't remember Wonder Man's name, but he plays like Tony Stark in a movie called Stark. It's supposed to be like a Jobs like
That'd be
play
funny.
on, but I guess it was all just a ruse from James Gunn and Nathan Fillion, which I also did not like at all. I thought that was a kind of a stupid play trick on people because if there are 2 people that get named for every single character, it is Idris Elba and Nathan Fillion. Every time there's like who can play this character, Idris Elba or Nathan Fillion. So the fact that they keep playing on this, like, just put him in a movie. I don't know why it's so complicated. So I don't know.
Because I think
wasn't a
people
fan
have
of
more
that.
fun with teasing him out there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that you have our the token nerd viewpoint on Guardians of the Galaxy, I apologize for the little overview the overview that I gave because I hate when people do play by play of a movie. So I kind of fell into that own little trope myself. But if you like what we're doing, check out some of our other videos. Like and subscribe to our videos on YouTube, Token Nerd. You can check out our Instagram, Token_Nerd, and we're doing giveaways. Not all summer, but throughout the summer we'll have giveaways of Funko Pops, Dorbs, and other cool items from our sponsors. Our sponsor being Tenacious Toys from TenaciousToys.com. You can check them out. And any Funko purchase you make, use the promo code TOKEN10. That's TOKEN10, and you'll get 10% off your not whole purchase, but your Funko purchase. You can also check us out on Facebook. We're Token Nerd 00, and we're posting stuff all the time. And so yeah, as always, I'm Anthony.
I'm Addison.
Stay spicy, my friends.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Hey everyone, this is Travis Likens from Token Nerd Podcast, and I'm here today to tell you something about sponsorship. That's right, Token Nerd now has a sponsor. The fine folks at TenaciousToys.com, your source for designer toys, pop vinyl, original art, and more, are now our sponsor. And guess what? As a part of that, you can get 10% off your next order at TenaciousToys.com by entering the code TOKEN10 at checkout. That's right, 10% off. And not only are they giving you this code, they're also going to be sponsoring many of our Token Nerd giveaways in the next coming months. So make sure to follow us at Token_Nerd on Instagram to catch our latest giveaways.